Okay. What do you want to check on YouTube Live and just see if we're actually live?
Opening that up.
Do we want to hit record as well in the StreamYard?
We're up.
We're up. Okay. Let's give folks a few minutes to come in. Hey, Olivia. Hey, Brenda, Simon. We're gonna give folks a couple minutes to come in. Ben, you have anything entertaining that you want to share while we're waiting here? Oh, is there no sound?
No sound. No, I can hear.
You can hear it? Could someone in the live chat confirm if the audio is cool? All good.
Hello, it's good now. I can hear you.
Yay.
Good stuff.
All right. Let's see what you cooked. We're cooking. You've joined a cooking show, not an eating show. Okay.
You got people from Wales, from Amsterdam. Where's everyone else from?
72 watching already. Oh, yeah.
I'm feeling the pressure here to put on a good show for people.
Oh, yeah.
We have a worldwide audience here.
Mexico.
Yeah,
Canada,
we're gonna wait just a couple more minutes, let people come in, then
France.
We will get started.
India, Atlanta,
Thailand,
New York,
San Diego, Estonia, Toronto.
Cool.
I'm from Toronto, if you can see the hat.
Bay Area, Turkey,
A lot of Californias, Belgium.
I'm in New Mexico. Is there anyone else from New Mexico? I would be shocked if we had another New Mexico person. And Ben, you're in Charleston?
I'm in Charleston, South Carolina. I only see one other East Coaster on here. We have a New Yorker.
Okay.
But I'm sure they don't get this in New York. So be careful.
It does look nice there. Okay, one more minute, and then we're gonna start cooking.
All right.
10:03 my time. We will hop in. Okay.
Singapore. Wow.
Cool. All right. I say we get started here. I'm gonna kick us off with some intros. I am Zach. I am the founder and CEO of Warp. This is a live stream of Code with Zach. This is the third one of these that we have done. First two are posted on our YouTube channel if you ever want to go back and check them out. For folks who are just joining for the first time, what I do in these sessions is I try to code something, but I try to code it entirely using AI tools. And I actually, if possible, try not to actually write any code by hand. I think this is the way the world is heading. It's not quite there yet. But I think it's cool as an opportunity to just show folks how I think about approaching engineering problems using these new AI tools. Today, what I'm going to code is it's actually kind of meta, and I'll show folks in a second. I'm going to make a new page on Warp's website that is about the Code with Zach series. Just as a disclaimer, I've tried to do this via dry run a couple times and I've had mixed success. So I think we're going to see some of the things that don't always work when you use AI, but hopefully we'll get something working. I'm joined by a couple awesome folks today. Do you two want to introduce yourselves real quick, and then I'll just hop in?
Yeah, totally. So I'm Ben Holmes, product engineer at Warp. Mostly here to check on the chat while we're cooking and to answer all your questions. I've worked in the web dev tooling space for a long time, and now I'm on the other side, building tools that hold the tools to build websites for you. So we'll see how it goes.
Awesome. Cool. Yeah, and I'm Serge. I'm a co-founder or one of the founding engineers at Actual and have been a Warp user and lover for a couple of years now. Really happy to be here. Thank you guys for letting me hang out. And yeah, I'll be moderating the chat and asking some questions and trying to move the ship along. It's fun.
Okay. Cool. All right. And I'm going to be kind of heads down. I'm going to share my screen here, and then I probably won't be able, for the most part, to see what's going on, because I'm going to be in Warp and in other tools doing stuff. Can everybody see my screen? Are we good on that front?
Looks like you're up.
I'm up. Okay, cool. So what are we doing today? So let's start there. So we have a website at Warp, obviously, warp.dev. Looks something like this. This is actually a variant of it, but something like this. What I'm going to do today is try to make a new page on that website that looks like this. Code with Zach. Unlike a lot of like the sort of AI coding demos that are out there, I thought it'd be interesting to work on an existing code base. So I'm not going to try to like one shot this and have it build it using some random technology that the AI chooses. It's going to have to work within our existing stack, which I think is a more realistic use case for sort of professional engineers who are working with AI. I also am going to say that I don't know that much about our stack. I've never built a page in our website before. I know that it's like basically like React, Next.js. I know that we use the CMS. And so part of this is going to be showing how I use AI to like learn a new code base as I do it. So let's go ahead and get started. So I am going to do actually what it's suggesting here. I'm going to clone this into, I'll do it in a new directory, marketing site, code with Zach. It's going to take a sec. Okay, let's go into it. And then the first thing I'm going to do in here is just kind of have AI explain the structure of this repo to me. So could you explain the structure of the current repo? And this is how I like to get oriented. Oh, actually, hold on one second. I want to switch back here to using, I was on Gemini. I'm going to switch to using Claude here. Yes, just look at it and explain it. Okay, so it's giving me a very, very high level kind of review here where we have front end, back end, package JSON. Yeah, can you tell me more about what actually is coded here and how all the components fit together? Is my font size big enough, by the way? People see what I'm doing? I can make it a little bit bigger.
Yeah, it looks pretty good.
Okay, cool. Okay, so this is kind of more what I'm looking for here. So we have front end is Next.js, back end is Strappy CMS. We have two servers. We have pages, data models, plugins. So I think this makes sense. Can you give me I'm going to just talk quick architecture diagram showing the big components and how they fit together. Again, I think one of the places where these AI tools really shine is in helping developers quickly understand things that they don't already know well. I mean, they're useful in all sorts of situations, but this is pretty awesome here. So, okay. So this is, again, probably basic for a lot of people watching this, but the browser basically is talking to a Next.js front end here, which has pages, components, utils, and types. The front end makes API calls to the back end Strappy. So Strappy is just a CMS. For folks who don't know CMS, it's like it's a place where you can kind of add the dynamic content. So it's just like it's like the data store for our marketing website. And then that itself has its own database. So this is actually a pretty awesome sort of overview here. The next thing I like to do when I'm working in a new project is just like run it. So I'm going to say like, help me run the front end server. And let's see if we can get our marketing site running locally. Any questions so far?
Can I actually ask a question, Zach?
Yeah.
What prompt were you using to get the structure to be displayed in this like table format? Is that something that
This is just something the model decided was great to do. So I basically asked for a architecture diagram, and it was like, okay, it was like, I'll do it in ASCII. So I could have asked for more detail. I bet you I could even have it like draw me something. But it just decided to give me that in ASCII art in the terminal, which is pretty cool. Okay, so we're going into the front end. We're going to have to do some setup steps here, and I have a feeling that there's going to be some errors along the way because I've done this before, or at least try to do it. So now we're going to do npm run dev, which is the right command, and we're getting an error here. I actually know what this error is, and I want to spare everyone like the pain of me figuring this out. This is an error where I'm missing environment variables. So I'm just gonna, I have a file that's a .env.local that I know belongs in here. So I'm gonna bring that in. I'm gonna try not to leak API keys like I did in the last version of this. Let's try to run dev again and see if it runs without any issues here. Okay. So far, so good. Let's bring this open on localhost 3000. And if this has worked correctly, what we should see here is a local version of our marketing site, which is what we see. And just to remind people what we're doing, we're trying to get to a new page that looks like this. What's on this page? So it's like code with Zach, and then there's like one kind of module for each one of the sessions that I've done. These are the two that I did before: MCP server, lovable bolt clone, and this is the Figma Mox one that I'm doing right now. So that's what we're trying to get to. This this page doesn't exist. So the next thing that I'm going to do, let's make a branch here. Actually, yeah, we'll do code with Zach page. Is I'm gonna show them the model, an image of what I'm trying to build. This is super duper cool if you're building front end stuff. So the flow that I want to do is pass the image into the model, have the model understand the image, and then come up with a plan for building based on it. So I'm going to go ahead and say, take a look at the attached image. It shows a new page that I'm trying to build. Please first confirm that you understand the structure of the image, and then we will work on building out the page together. So I use voice there, which is pretty cool. I'm going to go ahead and attach this image. Here it is. This is just the same image that I've been working on. In fact, I can show you what this image is. This is a cool feature that we just added. One of our interns added recently was the ability to look at images directly in Warp. So this is the image that I'm passing up to the model. Close this. And let's just see if it can actually, from this image, understand what I'm building. I'm going to, again, skip the plan, just so you all know what the plan is. The plan, maybe I'll do it later, uses like a reasoning model to come up with like a bunch of steps for doing the task. We don't need it right now. Okay, so it says, I understand the structure of the image you've shared. It appears to be a landing page for Code with Zach, which includes the header section, Warp logo, navbar, all sessions, and then these session cards, which have this data. It's awesome. It understands it completely, and it's also complementing the layout. So kudos to our design team. So I'm going to say, yes, let's build a new page. I want to do it in stages though. So first, please just build me a blank new page called, I'm going to name it called Code with Zach, that has the header and footer, and then I'll add the content to the page later in stages. I'm going to say, please look in the existing code base to reuse the existing header and footer components. Don't write new ones, and follow all of the conventions in the existing code base. So sometimes, like, I'm not sure if I need to tell it this or not. Like, it might be smart enough to realize that it should follow all the existing conventions, but it can be helpful to just be like, hey, just make sure you're not like going off and freestyling here. Because I really want to reuse what we have. And this is it's like harder for it to do it this way than it is for it to just like create it from scratch. But if you're doing real coding tasks, this is the way that you're going to want to do it. Like, no one on my team is going to approve a PR where I like rewrite the header. So it's looking around. It is searching. Ben and Serge, any questions? Is this all working okay?
Yeah. There have been a few questions so far. There's one where I've been chatting with Ryan in the chat here, how we handle chat history in sessions. So I know that we keep track of all your chat history and send it along with requests. And we also have session restore, where if you quit Warp and come back, it remembers. But he's wondering, like, when you hand off from reasoning to execution, how does the context get carried?
Yeah, so we don't have like the ideal setup for this, but actually the same intern who built that awesome image feature is building a sort of like conversation history feature in Warp right now, where you can go and pick a conversation that you want to continue. Which is very useful, because one of the annoying things about using Warp, and this is a problem in other tools as well, is that sometimes if it loses the conversation, you kind of just have to start over and refill the whole thing with context. So we're working on that. Mm-hmm. Right now, though, it just tries to continue the conversation, and you have an option to continue the last conversation if you lose it. So let's take a look at this. So AI has made me a new page here, codewithzach.tsx, which seems right. Certainly looks like React to me. It's got the right slug. The slug is like the page header or the path. Let's see if this looks right down here. So we have a grid container. You know, this looks reasonable. It's also very cool. It's getting the text for this page from that image. Let's see what happens here. Let's just try and add this and see if it will run and show me that. So what's that?
Can we ask one more question?
Yeah, please.
So Steve was asking, if you were to estimate how many credits is it going to cost to build one of these pages in the next app with Strapi?
I have no idea. Ben, you have any idea?
How many credits?
So this does go.
Well, if it's ever a problem, you can reach for like Gemini 2.0 Flash or anything, and it'll just kind of adjust. But I never think about it. Probably a dangerous thing. I just go off of the Warp monthly Pro subscription. I'm fine, which is a half answer.
Yeah, I am doing. So I have one of our like an unlimited plan here. So it's kind of an unfair thing. I don't hit the limits. I would guess if you were doing this on our free plan that you might hit a limit. I honestly don't know. It's a good question. So let's see. So I restarted this server here. Let's see if we got a page. If we got a page, then we're already doing pretty well here, in my opinion, based on my trying this earlier. Let's see. No, we have a 404, and let's just sort of try to figure out why. So I'm getting a 404. when trying to load the page at code with Zach. So this to the conversation context thing, if I didn't push Command Y here, it would start a new conversation, which would be highly annoying. So this is one thing we're working on fixing for anyone here who actually uses warps. So I am going to continue the conversation, and let's see if we can understand, or the agent can understand why we're getting a 404. I think it's smart at this point, like, to actually bring this up in cursor as well, just as like, I think today it's probably easier to just like look at all the code that's being generated in a file editor like this. Warp is building some supports that you don't necessarily have to do this, but for right now, I think it's going to be nice to have this open. So let's take a look at what's being generated here. So code with Zach.tsx. There's the slug. There's this. So it thinks match the file name structure. So it's in the wrong place.
It did a nested front end directory.
Front end.
Okay, so I don't want to create a new page here. That's not the right fix. Let me just look at this.
I've seen this issue. If you just back out to the base directory and keep talking to it, sometimes it forgets to PWD itself.
Okay, so this is a problem here. So I could have agent mode try to fix this. I'm like not going to do that. I'm going to move front end pages code with Zach to pages to just pages.
Yep.
And I'm not gonna, like, at some point I can do some thinking here, so that's fine. And then let's look at this again. That looks right to me. Let's npm run and make sure this is in the right place.
Yeah, that's the beauty of working in the terminal, where if you ever need to, you can just
actually run commands.
Yeah.
Yeah, like that. And I did it as a human, which I think is fair to do sometimes. Boom. All right. I'm very excited here. Okay, so we have a page, which is what I wanted, that has the warp header, the real header. This is awesome. It has the real footer, all of this stuff on it. And then we have a little bit of the scaffolding of code with Zach. Just to look at this again, it's doing pretty awesome. Okay, so next we need like these buttons in this like all sessions thing. I'm gonna commit this. I think it's smart to track what you're doing as you go here. Getting a nice commit message suggested. Okay, so now let's continue. Let's continue coding up the page from the attached image by adding the next section. This is the section that has the header all sessions. Sorry, I'm just looking at, and the subheader build with warp. Build it with warp. I'm going to say it's fine to hard code the contents of this section. Again, please create this using components and styles from the existing code base wherever possible, rather than inventing new ones. So I really like using the voice, by the way. It just saves me a lot of time typing.
It just saves time. Yeah.
So again, if I didn't do ask as a follow-up, I would have to start all over here. It's a pretty big foot gun that we're working on fixing. So I will follow up, and hopefully it remembers that image. If it doesn't, let's see. It does seem to remember it. So it's searching. I don't know, it seems to be confused on the file search here. It's going to move to a different kind of search using grep, basically. It's learning, which is cool. And I think now it's going to try and code it for me.
What happens if you have multiple tabs and you're using agent mode and it's doing stuff?
It's actually an awesome use case. So you can have as many of these agents running as you want in Warp. If you have them running on the same code base, like that's tricky. I would, we aren't like set up to like multi-thread on a single repo, but if you're doing work on multiple repos or even multiple copies of the same repo and doing different kinds of tasks, that's actually pretty magical. And we're building a sort of like management layer to make it easier to do that. So yeah, but the terminal is actually super well set up for that type of multitasking with agents.
Yep.
Good question. Okay. I think one of the cool things in the future, if we could figure out how to do it, would be to have multiple working on the same repo. So it seems to be confused here because it is not editing the right page. It seems to be totally recreating the page at a new place, which is not what I want. So I'm going to kill this. I'm going to say, make sure you are editing the existing, I'll type it out, pages. One cool thing here is the autocomplete does work within this, rather than creating a new page. Understand where you are in the repo and the file tree before making this change. It seems to still be confused about where it is a little bit. So I think part of the skill of like using these AI tools, and the other ones I think are similar to Warp in this respect, is like kind of like reading the mind of the agent, understanding why it's making certain errors, and then being able to correct it. So like my guess here was like, it thinks it's someplace else, and that's why it's doing it that way. And so like if you understand like what might be causing its error, you can redirect it to do the right fix. So let's see if I did that, but that was my goal there at least.
Yeah, and I see that comment from Deborah. You can tell it to use PWD. I've done that a few times just to say reorient yourself. It almost feels like between major prompts or conversations, it should do a check of where it is, especially after moving around directories.
Yeah, we should architect, like the user shouldn't have to do that, in my opinion.
Of course. Yeah.
Warp should do that. But at least now, so we have a diff in the existing file, which is what I wanted, which looks reasonable. So let's just take a look here at what we're doing. So we're moving some stuff and we are adding code with Zach, live sessions, and now we have this new all sessions header, which is I want. In each session, Zach tackles a new project. This is all coming from that image. Just remember, I think this is so cool. And so this looks good enough to me to at least try. And we will, yeah, let's make sure it compiles. I could have just run it. Maybe that would have been the move. Probably would have been faster. By the way, it tends to get a little slower the deeper in you get, because what's happening is it's round tripping this very big conversation. So we have one problem here, which is why I'm glad I built. So now this is also, I think this is one of the most powerful things about using AI to build your stuff. It can sort of debug as it goes and fix issues that it sees. So let's see if it's able to fix these for me. The only one of these, by the way, that's an error is the escaping thing. So I'm not sure how much I care about these other ones.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Let's see though what it gives me here.
I'm curious if we just have a format CLI command. in this repo.
There, let's ask.
Okay.
That's a great question.
But these edits look right. They do seem to fix some of those issues.
Yeah. I'm gonna ask if there's like a format or like let's see if it did it right here. Because that would be better. I would prefer to just like run the tool, not have our agent do it wherever possible. But basically it worked here. So, oh no, I take that back. So we have an error. Let's see. ID prop. Okay.
I guess that's one of the things that something like a cursor or VS Code would do, is like the format on save stuff.
That would be nice. I don't know if our project is quite configured for that, but that would be nice. So it's making this change. Does this look reasonable to me?
It doesn't look reasonable to me.
No, this looks wrong. So I'm not going to let it do this. I'm going to actually just go take a look here. Let's close this for a second and let's see if we can see what's going on here. So first, let's try that save thing to format.
Oh, this is the wrong file, by the way. This was the front end one. It was deleted. It's inside Pages.
Thank you.
One that it's modifying.
So it's inside.
Yeah, right there, code inside.
Thank you for calling that out. So let's see. So this is telling me ID. I don't know what the ID is supposed to be. Does anyone have any idea?
I don't. You can put.
I can get some reasonable autocomplete on this.
Bogus. Sure.
Why not? And so let's run. I always go to cargo. It's not cargo. Let's do this.
Okay. And there was a good question. Can we configure warp rules for this type of development, like to run a linter or something like that?
100%. So in fact, we should do that. And this does build. Yeah. So Ben, what do you think would be good warp rules for this out of curiosity?
Before building the project, always run the lint script. I don't know what the exact lint script is. I'm guessing you could just run ESLint dot and it would work, but.
Okay. We're making real progress here, by the way. I'm pretty excited about this.
It is a website. That is a website.
Now, this may look silly. It's just like, why am I using AI to add these things to the website? I will say, like, I don't think I would do it right looking at this cursor file. I don't know what these components are, and I wouldn't know exactly how to use them. So even though it seems like it's doing something pretty simple here, I guess it is. This is actually how I would prefer to do it rather than trying to do this by hand, because I don't have any real in-depth knowledge about how these components work. And it's clearly doing something right. There's obviously some padding issues, but it's doing a pretty good job in my opinion. All right, so let's move on to the more interesting part, which is the other sections, and I want to populate those from our CMS. And so just to like show the CMS for a second. So the CMS is this thing called Strappy. I am not a Strappy expert in the least here. But what it does is it defines basically a bunch of like data types, one of which is this page for code with Zach. The page with code with Zach has like the title and description. I'm not going to bother pulling this from the CMS. This is what we've already hard coded. But the parts that I am going to try to like not hard code are the ones that might change over time as we do more of these sessions. And so there's this component here, which basically corresponds to one of these sections. Hopefully that makes sense. And so what does it have on it? It has a title, it has a date that the thing is going live and a time, it has a description, it has an image, it has a couple links that are associated with it. And then you can add multiple of these. So the thing that I need to do next, or the way that I'm going to do this, is just try to like fetch the data, and then we'll worry about rendering. So let's go ahead and commit what we have. I'm going to remove. I can get rid of this front end directory, right?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay. Git commit. Okay, so we'll do this, and now I'm gonna keep going with this task. So I'm gonna say, now I want to fetch data for the code with Zach sessions from our Strapi production CMS. For now, let's just print that data to the console log and verify that we're able to get it when the page loads. Okay. So that's what I want. I need to ask a follow-up, or it's going to lose all the context. Please look at the existing Strapi data types in this project to understand the structure of the API call and make it correctly. If it's helpful, you can first curl the Strapi endpoint and verify the results. So this is another place where it's cool to be in the terminal. Again, I just want to make sure it's clear what I'm doing. So when this page loads, it's going to basically make a XHR request to Strapi to get the contents to fill this out. I want to just verify that it knows how to do that. So let's go ahead and try this.
One question about the follow-up. If
Yeah.
you clear the terminal session, so like do Command K, does that lose that context in the follow-up?
It does. Yeah, it does. So be careful doing that. So one thing I want to point out here is like, it knows the CMS URL. And the reason that it knows that is because I added a rule for this. So for people who do use Warp, this is something I highly suggest doing, is we have this rules feature where I've added something in here that says our Strapi production CMS is located at this URL, so that when I just refer to the Strapi CMS when interacting with the agent, it knows where to look. So I had that set up beforehand. Uh-oh, we have a leaked API key for Strapi.
Classic.
Then we will revoke this.
Another one bites the dust.
Okay. Ben, do you mind telling some folks on the team that we're going to need to change this?
Yeah.
I can't get through one of the first without leaking an API key. I'm sorry, everyone. This is just how it goes. Just in case, yeah, that API key was set as an environment variable, but it didn't know to ask me that. So definitely some stuff we need to do to make this a little bit better. Interestingly enough, it was not able to do that. So it's still figuring out how to actually do the fetch here. And let me just stop it and say, please use the Strapi API key that is defined in the environment variable. Actually, I need to set the environment variable. So I did this before. So I have this. This is how this should have been done. We have a feature in Warp, which is pretty cool, where you can securely store and load environment variables. So I have this one in our gcloud secrets. So I'm going to go ahead and fetch this. And then I'm going to say, yeah, from now on, actually, you know what, even better. I'm going to go in here and I'm going to change this rule. So you can all see how to do this. When making curl requests to this endpoint, please use the environment variable called, what did I call it? Strappy API token. I should have done this yesterday. Do folks get what I'm doing here? So I'm there's a couple things. So one, this needs it's an authenticated request. It needs an API token. Actually, it shouldn't even need an API token to do this read. But anyhow, I'm gonna I told it to do it that. So let's try again. Please try curling the Strappy endpoint again to confirm that you know how to read the API. This should be continuing it. I say, please try.
Pretty please. Don't delete anything.
I see that thing that Sam Altman said around the amount of money that ChatGPT spends because people say please and thank you. And just in terms of like empty requests, it's like millions of dollars they spend servicing like responses to thank you, which is pretty funny. Okay. This is also not what I wanted it to do exactly, but it's okay. Oh, you're killing me. Let me try one other thing here in our settings. If we have a feature, which I'm going to get in trouble with our team for not having used. Yeah, this is what I should be doing. So we have a feature here in Warp that for some reason I had turned off probably because I was testing something that makes it so these things should not be printed to the console. Let's see if seems like maybe it's not working correctly in these code blocks. Anyhow, this key is busted. So okay, so it has in fact figured out the API, which is cool. So okay, so it's asking what we should do here. So look at the Strappy API in TypeScript and look at how other front-end components fetch data from Strappy and follow that same pattern to fetch the session info from the production Strappy CMS. Make this change to pages code with Zach. Okay, it's continuing it. I think, Ben, it's actually fine if you, well, we can wait a minute to revoke that API key. Probably revoke it.
A lot of people on it.
All right. That API, I think that API, that's one that I created personally for this demo. I don't think it's going to be a problem. So it's doing the right thing here. It's looking at the Strappy util. I know that because I've looked at this before. It should add a sort of fetch method for getting this data. I think the engineers on our team are going to kill me after this.
2 times in a row.
I really tried here. I even made the environment variable.
Yeah, that's something.
We have this amazing feature for secret redaction that I, as like an idiot, have turned off. Oh, God. Oh, actually, you know what? I can tell it. I can help it out here. It's this. The relevant content type is this. It's trying to.
Someone asking about voice input. We're using Whisperflow, right? I don't know.
Yes. God damn it! Stop printing this out.
We need to make Warp live streamer friendly.
Oh my
That's a
god.
feature request.
Warp presentation mode definitely is needed.
It's doing the right thing on the bright side. Anyhow, this is the joy of doing a live stream. I promised at the beginning that this would not be super smooth, and I think I've delivered on that promise.
If anyone's wondering if the prompts are pre-made, no, this is using the product.
Yeah, this is me doing this. So
Stop scrolling up.
So this did this in the wrong place, I'm pretty sure. Again. Oh no, I see what it's doing.
We can double check.
I think this is okay. So it's making these types. This
Mm-hmm.
look, Ben, I don't do a lot of like TypeScript. Do you know? Does this look reasonable? So it's making a data structure for the stuff that it's going to grab from the CMS, which is correct.
Okay.
And I mean,
it's its own TypeScript file. I guess that's fine, right?
This seems fine as long as they go in the right place. Yeah.
And then the thing that you care about is the posts type, because we don't need
right. So it's going in front end types, strap eco with Zach, and this is okay. I think this seems okay. So it's still going to need to make a change to the actual TSX page, I think, if I remember my React. For folks wondering, Warp is built in Rust, and does not use. We use like some web tech, obviously, for our marketing website, but for the most part, we're all doing Rust UI development, which is a very, very different world from doing this type of development. So I've done it in the past, but I haven't done it recently.
We have a question from Terry. Is there ever going to be an opportunity to bring your own keys for you to configure your models within Warp?
Yeah, we are. So that's on our roadmap. I can't give a firm timeline, but the two things that we're looking at with respect to that are local models. So like hooking Warp up to a llama or like a self-hosted model. And this is something that a lot of businesses want. So we already sort of support that for enterprises. And then I don't know that we would do bring your own API keys per se. It's a little bit tricky for us in that respect because we use a mixture of models on the back end and want to make sure that we're like giving people the best experience. But we're definitely going to have more options around how people can use their own models or their preferred model.
Nice.
This looks pretty reasonable to me. This is the code for fetching. Let's check this in. By the way, this thing on the left here, as I'm doing this, I don't know if we have Warp users in the audience. I assume we have a few. This is a place called Warp Drive where you can, it's behind this icon, where you can store prompts, you can store rules, you can store shared workflows and notebooks, and all of this info is available to the AI too. So it's really useful if you're doing any kind of teamwork. Okay, let's see what's going on here. One more diff. So this is the diff where it should add this into the actual code with Zach like UI page, which is cool. So this is grabbing the data from the CMS, which is what I expect to see. Then I expect it here just to print it to the console.
Yep.
And this looks pretty right to me. So when this data changes, it's going to print it to the console. So I'm pretty excited about this.
That looks good.
I'm cautiously optimistic. We'll see if we have any compile errors. Let's see if it will rebuild it for me.
Speaking of the layouts, though, there was a question about potentially supporting a 2-column layout where on the left you kind of have your prompts, and then on the right you have the generated code or the diffs, similar to, I guess, how Claude and a lot of these LLM apps do it.
So not having the diffs just be in line, but having them be to the side a little?
Yeah.
Yeah, so we actually have designs for something like that where it makes it easier to iterate. I don't know if Peter, our designer, is watching this, but if he wants to, Peter, feel free to show or share the iterate designs if you want, if people have feedback. But yeah, it's definitely something we're trying to figure out. Is sometimes the inline diff is super nice. Actually, I prefer it, but sometimes it's nice to have a sort of side-by-side view. Okay, so we are fixing this. I'm gonna why is it removing this? Oh. I'm skeptical of this diff. So hold on for a second. Let me look here. So this is saying, this is a smart thing to do. If you're like, does this seem right? Maybe check it yourself. So
Always.
why? Let's just sort of like what's changed in this file?
I think it's not this file, it's the types file that was generated that might have gotten rid of some of the other ones.
Do you know where that? Okay, I can use your help here.
Yeah, open the Git tool and code.
Let's see what we did here.
Whatever.
So
the index.ts for types strappy might have got rid of some of the.
So let's look at this.
Or I guess it's a new one. So
oh, yeah, this is added, right?
It just seems too general for like the specific use case.
Interesting. So let's look at this. So it's just this. So.
And there's some generated ones that also get created, I'm assuming, when you run the build command.
See any of those though? What changed? Interesting. Do you know, do we need this types thing here?
I don't think so, because otherwise there would have been a lot more types for other content.
All right, let me see if agent mode can help me fix this. Can you help me fix this error? This needs to be a follow-up, and I'm also going to go ahead and attach the block that has the error. So I did that by doing command up. I have a typo, but it doesn't care. It's really thinking hard.
And while we're waiting, I actually did get a mock-up from Peter that I'll try to put on the Jumbotron here.
Oh, nice.
Okay, I don't have permission to show that.
Do you want me to? Yeah, there you go.
There we are. Yeah, so this is early exploration. This is not shipped. This is not real, but it could be. So you can see on the left, you got a conversation going. On the right, whatever files you're working on, maybe having multiple tabs, showing things off. But really, it's just about showing that iteration. So if you're editing the same file over and over again, like we've been doing on this stream, it's easier to keep track of. Here's the stuff in the code base we're actually concerned with. So we don't have to open it in cursor and look at it ourselves. And you got syntax highlighting. You have diffs on the side. Same stuff that you have in the diff view right now.
Very cool.
Yeah. If anyone has feedback, sound off in the chat, obviously. And we have a Discord as well. So we look at feature requests.
So it is trying to do this exact same diff, but I don't think this diff is right, unfortunately. This diff looks pretty wrong to me. So I'm going to ask, why do we have an issue in the slug file when we didn't change it? Did we perhaps regenerate some types that are causing this? Is there any way to undo the changes in type generation? Let's see. Again, if I can guide it towards what Serge said was probably the issue here. I know we're coming up on time here. We may not get to a fully working thing. In fact, it's highly unlikely we will, although in the last couple sessions, I have gotten things kind of working in the last few minutes, but this one, I'm more skeptical. Okay, that's a good observation. Wasn't mine. Let's see if we can figure this out. Okay. This is what you thought, right? A new index that's overriding the existing types. So,
I believe so, yeah. We have a good question in the chat here. How has AI impacted the development at Warp? How much of the code is written by Warp AI? So something similar to how meta this is.
we use it all the time. It does not always work. I will say that, but like, it's definitely a big accelerant. So we use, and we don't just use Warp, just to be clear. So we use Warp. Some people use Cursor, some people use Windsurf. We really believe in like this whole class of kind of AI tools. It's asking me to remove some files here, so I want to be careful for a second.
Those are the ones that were created by AI. So.
And it's getting better every single week. When the new models come out, it improves it. As we make improvements to context, it improves it. Like, I think the biggest challenge for anyone working in this space that we're in is like, how do you provide the right context? And it's the right context. How do you fit it in the context window? How do you keep it from forgetting? But yeah, we're constantly using these tools, and they're big productivity improvement for us.
Yeah. And I have a kind of different perspective as a new employee, because I first day asked Warp, can you set up my machine with Git and SSH and GitHub and clone it locally and make sure it runs? And for the most part, I was just asking questions in my terminal to get stood up on Warp's internal Rust build. So just as like I have a new machine, I need to get onboarded. It's amazing. And I've been using it lately to understand the code structure as well, because we have a very sprawling repository. And code diffs, I've been playing with all sorts of models. It's getting better every day.
Ben, what's your take on current best model to be working with Warp on?
Yeah, I've been sounding out internally. Gemini 2.5 is really nice. I have had more of a mixed experience now that I'm over to honeymoon phase and I'm just using it for everything. But it's this nice midway where it remembers a lot more. Like if I go through the planning phase with Warp, which is a feature, I don't think we've reached for that much here, but you can ask it to write out a markdown plan of what to do. Gemini is better at referencing the steps in that plan. I noticed it explicitly says, now I'm going to do step 5 of the plan and implement this. Now I'll do step 7 of implement unit tests. So it feels like it pays attention in a way that Claude doesn't as often. Some of it could be context window, and some of it could just be the way Gemini feels to use. But I've had more success with it in larger code bases.
Yeah, I've been trying Gemini too, and it's interesting how different like the tone of the output is.
Yes,
you know what I mean?
Very. Yeah, I totally know. Yeah,
it feels like a robot, whereas Claude feels much more like a partner or person.
Yeah.
It's interesting how they have sort of different personalities. Gemini, I've also noticed it seems a little faster than Claude. It's very verbose in the commenting it does, but it has the fact that it can keep more context in memory is awesome. All right, so I'm still pretty skeptical, but let's just see if we got this to run. If we do get this to run, we're just about at time, so this will probably be it on this journey. Although I may keep going, see how far I can get, but let's see.
After hours.
bonus footage. But I don't want to keep it. I know everyone on here is busy, and I am very grateful for people coming. Let's see if we actually got something to compile. Darn.
I thought this was a change that you committed, where it added the string type annotation.
I thought it did too. So what happened there? I thought it did this. I thought I accepted that. It says it did it, but not. I think it's probably a good time to break. No, it is. It's right here. So what's it talking about?
Okay, so that's in Pages blog.
Is it in a different file or something?
Pages blog slug. Maybe that's different than Pages slug. Yeah.
It is.
All
right.
For some reason, I lost this.
Just add the thing.
Default type
I
annotation.
still shouldn't have to be doing this.
Oh, you scroll past it.
I did.
Yeah.
Is there a way to run Next.js and bypass the type checker?
Now we're talking. Probably.
Yeah. I just know, Sergey, you use Next more than me.
No.
I'm Astro guy. If we were on Astro, we'd be done.
I think something has gone off the rails here. I think
Yeah.
this is a decent time to stop. Maybe I will stop sharing my screen for a second here and just thank people for coming. I'm sorry I couldn't get to a fully working thing. Regardless, I hope this was cool for people to watch. I'm going to keep doing it. I am going to build out this Code with Zach page and get it launched on our website so that next time I start one of these, we can start by showing that off. If folks have questions, please let me know. I believe we also have like a promo code that we're going to share. Ben, do you have that? For Olivia?
Here.
From Warp?
Yeah, Olivia, you have that. Wait.
Yeah, we are, as a sort of thank you for people who join this, we're going to post a promo code where I think people can get a month free of Warp Pro. And like,
I just dropped it in the chat there.
Sometimes they don't perfectly work out at times. The next one I do, it's just going to keep getting better. I think it'll be a fun thing to track over time as I do these. Actually, is like, what's the success rate? Can I do more and more complex things? I'm like super bullish on this technology and like what we're building, but also, you know, what just the general space of like AI helping developers is going to rapidly improve. So thank you all for coming, and we will see you at the next one of these. I hope you join again. Bye-bye, everyone. And
See you next time.
Thanks so much.
Bye.